afternoon, everybody. It is meteorologist Ames Weather Forecast here, and welcome back to another update. This video is going to actually be very exciting to me, and also I hope it's exciting for you guys. This is not a tropical update. I did one already today if you guys want to check that out. But guys, this is going to be my third preliminary winter forecast video for 2019 and 2020. I've gotten so many questions of when these videos were going to come out. My last one I think was 2 to 3 weeks ago, so there has been a little bit of change on these maps. The Snowfall Outlook has not updated yet, so it's the same thing as the Enzo is the same thing, but my maps and the water analysis, those are all new different. So I hope you guys are excited about this video. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. It really means a lot. Also, be sure to like the video if you like this video. Also, be sure to hit the like button. And also, if you still have any questions on this winter for your area, be sure to put them in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them. But again, guys, hopefully this helps out with the ideas for this winter. And yeah, without further ado, let's get in the video. So we are going to be looking at the Enzo summary because I got a lot of new viewers on these videos, and so some of them don't even know what the Enzo summary shows or the Enzo Outlook is. But basically, this is what a lot of people, based on even professional meteorologists, use these to help the idea of what the fall is going to look like in winter, and it helps them know if it's El Nino, neutral, La Nina. We will get all into the information or all into that in the video, and don't worry guys if you guys don't know what those mean. I'll help you guys in the video too with that. But basically, we are seeing an Enzo neutral. Conditions are present, so that means we have a Enzo neutral. On the last advisory, in the beginning of August, we actually had a weak El Nino, but again, it is now a Enzo neutral because the water analysis and the water temperatures have gone a bit different. So basically, we see equatorial sea surface temperatures are above average across the western and central Pacific Ocean, and there's also below average for the eastern Pacific. But there is actually also there's also below average for the eastern and central Pacific. So that's why we have a neutral, because we have warm and cold conditions in the same areas, and possibly the same areas in the central Pacific. We're going to be looking at those water analysis soon in the on this video. So if you guys are wondering what do you mean it has above average in the eastern or below, you guys are all going to understand when we look into that slide. And then what it says is we have an Enzo neutral is most likely to continue through the northern hemisphere winter 2019 and 2020. And basically what that says is that basically there's a very good chance of us having a neutral this winter. So not an El Nino or La Nina, a neutral. And that the chance of that occurring is a 50 to 55% chance. There's actually a 100% chance or a bit lower, maybe like a 90% chance for it to occur in the fall. So that's why it doesn't say fall and winter. But again, we're going to be forecasting or making these maps as if it's going to be a neutral, which it most likely will. So now we're going to be looking at the probability here, because if you guys are asking what are the chances of these all these three occurring, we're going to be looking at that here. But first we're going to be reading what it says up here. Enzo neutral is most likely to continue through the northern hemisphere winter 2019-2020. So again, it's just what we read in the last slide. So basically we're going to be looking at the probability. If you guys do not know what probability is, because I actually have a lot of younger viewers that are younger than me, probability is the event of something, or the percentage or the chance of an event occurring. So when you say 100% chance or a 50% chance of that, that's basically what probability is for those people who are wondering what that means. So basically, if you guys are wondering what this graph means or what it symbolizes or what these colors are, so basically we have the probabilities here. So we have 0% chance here, we have 50% chance here, we have 100% chance here, and then we have the numbers in between. And then we have these three colors. The blue is La Nina probability, so you see those bars in blue. And then the gray is a neutral probability, and then El Nino is or the red is a El Nino probability. And if you guys are wondering what these letters are on the bottom, these are all models. So these models are going to be forecasting, and we're going to be seeing what the probability of these events are occurring based on their opinion. Again, these are big models too. So as you can tell, the blue color is always the lowest, which is, again, the blue is La Nina. So basically, La Nina has the lowest probability out of all these three. Again, the highest probability is a 15% chance, so that's actually not very high. So again, La Nina's not out of the picture. It could out of nowhere turn into a La Nina and then right before winter, but it's just a very low chance. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying it's a 15% chance. It's looking like it's just going to be a neutral again, guys. It could change, but it's looking like a neutral. And the second highest probability, we have the red, which is a El Nino, and we have a 30% chance. It actually used to be up to a 50% chance on the last update, but now with this new update, it's only a 30% chance. So that means the neutral are becoming more favored. Now we look in the gray, and every single model shows the neutral more than 50% chance of occurring. So they are very, very confident that this can occur. The highest one goes all the way to 68% chance, which is pretty high. Now we're going to be looking at the model outlook. So these are not every single model out there, but these are many of the models that are going to be forecasting what they think can happen. If you guys are wondering what these letters or these numbers mean, anything above 0.5 Celsius is a El Nino, and then anything below negative 0.5 Celsius is La Nina. So this is La Nina. Let me just put this is La Nina on the bottom here, and then El Nino's above. Anything in between these two lines in the yellow, this in between any of this is a neutral, because a neutral is in between negative 0.5 Celsius to a positive 0.5 Celsius. So these models are going in between in these numbers, forecasting what they think can happen. So as you can tell, we have a lot of models that are forecasting in between 0.5 Celsius and negative 0.5 Celsius. So that means we have a lot that are favoring we have a lot of models favoring a neutral, which again is in between these two lines. Anything in between is a neutral. And then we have a couple models showing an El Nino. Again, we had a 30% chance on the probability, and then we actually have like one that shows La Nina, but a very weak one. So we actually have more of a 30% chance, of the model, or 30% of the model show about a Nino, and then we have a 70% of these models show a neutral, and you can see we have a good amount that are showing neutral. So that's basically what these lines and squiggly, that's basically what these spaghetti models are showing. So it doesn't look that confusing once you explain it. So now we're going to be looking at the water analysis, which this is what I was talking about earlier in the video about how they're warmer and cold in the eastern. That's basically what we're going to be looking at here. So basically, anything from the 0.4 Celsius above, that's above average. And then anything from the negative 0.4 Celsius below, that's all below average. So again, anything in between these anything. Let me try to do that. Anything in between is a neutral or a average. And as you can tell, we have a lot of colors here and a lot of confusion. But we actually see a lot of this area right here is cold. This is the eastern, and also again we have more of the eastern Pacific is below average. But then we have this one area, this one line, or this one area of below average. It stretches all the way from the coast of South America out into the Central Pacific. So that's where we see that widespread area of cold conditions, and it's been getting bigger every single update. Last one, it was right here last time we checked, but now it's becoming more and more widespread, and it is actually starting to mess with the above average too. So right here, we actually had a lot of above average last time. We had a whole lot of above average right here, but as it continues to push, it is making these above average weaker. So we are seeing more white splotches everywhere. We're seeing more white splotches, which is average, or we see very light blue, which is below average. So we are starting to see these above average temperatures become a bit less widespread, and we are seeing these below average become more widespread. So we should have a very strong neutral. And then again, we still have a lot of warm water right here. We still have, without a doubt, very warm water here. And then we also have this cold water here. If we switched, if this below average temperatures became in the middle and then the warm waters came here, that would be a La Nina. But if these warm waters moved, and the cold waters came, hold on, God, if the cold waters stayed here, if the cold waters stayed off the coast, very close like this, if they weren't widespread, and the warm waters continue to push and stay, if the warm water stayed like right here, then that actually would have been considered a El Nino. But again, there's just not enough cold or not enough warm. It's just, there's both. There's two, or it's 50-50 basically. Now we'll be looking at the average. Again, I made these maps yesterday, and from now on the video, these are going to be my forecast. So we looked at the Enzo Outlook. Now we'll be looking at mine. So this is the average, or sorry, this is for the precipitation. Again, it's not going to be like this every single day. This is going to be the average in the next 4 months for the winter. And then, so as you can tell, we have a couple layers here. Here we have the above average precipitation layers, and here we have the below average precipitation layers. I think we have a lot of above average precipitation for the eastern United States. In that first little kind of lime green color, that's where we have slightly above average precipitation. It can be frozen precip or just regular precipitation like rain. Again, it can be snow, sleet, anything that is precipitation. So I think we have slightly above average precipitation through the Dakotas. Comes a little bit skinny or thinner into Iowa. Now goes all the way down to Texas, and I think eastern Texas could see some above average precip. I think we could have some more, possibly, again, I want to excite you guys, but maybe some more sleet events that could cause some precip. And then I think western Texas could just see average, and that's going to be much all the way to Florida, up the coast to Maine. So again, that if you just look for your county or look for your city, and just see what layer in. If you're not a layer, then you're average. And then I think we have this little area right here in the second shade. That's where we have above average precip, and that I think we can have a lot of above average precipitation here for the Appalachian Mountains. So if I cut off Alabama, or if I cut off western Tennessee, you know why? Because I think in general we can have a lot of Appalachian precip. I have some areas in the suburbs in South Carolina and Georgia that can have above average precip because they are incredibly close to the Appalachian Mountains. So they're not super duper close, but they aren't too far, because like Nashville is actually not too close to the Appalachian Mountains there. But again, from Knoxville, Atlanta, all the way to parts of not Syracuse, Buffalo, I think we can just look at try to follow the Appalachian Mountains, and then that's where we can have some above average precip. It can be frozen precip. And again, guys, if you're like surrounding the green, and if you're in the lime green, you're surrounding, again, you could potentially get into the above average precip in my next update. So now we're going to be looking at the areas that can have below average precipitation. In this area, in the first layer of light brownish, that's where we can have slightly below average precipitation. So it won't be a huge change based on average. If you're in like that slightly below average precip, I don't think you're gonna have a lot of droughts. You don't have to worry. We're just gonna have a little bit less precip. And then the second shade of brown, that's where we could see a bit more possibilities for less snow, less rain, and possibly there can be bigger chances for droughts if you're in that second layer. And that's for south central California through southern Nevada, all the way to Arizona and New Mexico. Now we'll be looking at the temperature here, the temperature outlook. And again, most of you guys are familiar how this the layers. So if you're in the light blue here, you're in the slightly below average. If you're in the second shade, you're below average, and then if you're in the dark blue, you're way above. And then again, if you're in the first shade of orange, you're slightly, as you go on, it kind of makes sense. But in the slightly below average temperatures, we go that all the way from North Dakota, Montana, all the way to Colorado. I think, yeah, we can have some areas in Texas. You got northern Texas. You guys can have some below average. Louisiana, through much of the southeast, including all of Florida, you guys can have below average. And then it could go up the East Coast through the Carolinas, and then to the New England area. In the second shade, we have, again, the below average. That comes all the way from northern Minnesota through the plains, all the way to the southeast of Tennessee, Mississippi, Georgia. You guys can all see below average. Again, guys, it won't be like this every day. It's going to be an average. So sometimes, again, you can be in the darkest blue and sometimes have a little bit of warm fronts. But again, it's not going to be too much. It's going to be more cold. And then that can go out into the mid-Atlantic, into New York. Now, the way below average in the dark blue, that's where we can have very cold conditions of many clippers, many cold blasts, very likely to occur. That's from Minnesota, the Dakotas, through Kansas, all the way to northern Kentucky, all the way to New York. So we have the Ohio Valley in the Midwest, where we can have some very cold conditions and cold blasts. And then I think in the West we can have slightly above average temperatures. I don't think it should be too super duper warm. Obviously, we're not going to have some 80s in December. Well, I don't think that could. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. But it's not going to be a huge difference. Maybe only 3 to 4 degrees above average. It's not going to be super duper warm, but it's just going to be a little bit warmer than average. And that's go all the way to Oregon to New Mexico. Now we're going to be looking at the snowfall forecast here. Now this, I think we can have, if you're not in a blue or if you're not in a shaded color, I think you could just say average. Again, guys, if you're in the non-shaded, you can have very slightly above average, very slightly below, or just average, but mostly an average. So I don't think we're going to see too much less snow. Again, in the West, I did see, I think, less precip. I just don't think we're going to see that much less of a snow, really. In the light blue, we do have slightly above average snowfall, and then in the dark blue, we have above average snowfall. So here we have in the light blue, that's where we do have all the way to Minnesota through Texas, even Louisiana, all the way to the south, the deep south, and northern Florida. I think you guys are going to have some possibly above average snowfall. Again, it's on average. So if, say, for example, in Baton Rouge, you get 0 inches on average, or 0.1, maybe you can get 2 or 1. That's going to be above average, but only slightly. And that goes all the way to Maine. And then if you're in the dark blue, again, like I talked earlier in the video with precipitation, the mountains above average. I think that's also going to be a factor with snowfall too for the Appalachian Mountains. So it's going to be the same thing. Not going to be the exact same, but if, for example, if you were in Nashville and you were in the slightly above average precip, you wouldn't really see yourself in the above average snowfall. You may be in slightly above average snowfall. For example, maybe Raleigh, if you weren't in the above average, you wouldn't be super in the above average for snowfall. But again, I think we can actually have a lot of above average snowfall all the way to the northern mountains of Alabama and Georgia, all the way up the Appalachians, all the way into New Hampshire and Vermont. So just look for your area. Again, it's going to be, again, guys, this could become, if you're like very close to the dark blue, if you're like, I think Nashville's on the dark blue. I believe Nashville's on the dark blue, or on the border of these two colors. If you're in the border of these two colors, if you're closest, or if your city's more into the blue, then just count yourself in the dark blue. If it's more in the light blue, then just count yourself to the light blue. Now we looked at that. Let's look at my general forecast here for the winter 2019-2020. So let's just start off with the dark green. In the dark green, I think we'd have chilly and wet. So it's not going to be too warm, but it's just going to be chilly, maybe some 50s, 40s out there, maybe some 30s. And I think we should have some wet conditions. So that's going to be from the coastal areas of North Carolina and South Carolina, all the way through Florida, all the way to Texas, through the southern Gulf areas. So that's where we can have chilly and wet. And the white, I think we can have some snowy conditions. Again, it goes in a factor for the Appalachian Mountains especially. So I think the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, Tennessee, all the way to Maine. I really don't think we should have it go too much in the Appalachians. I think it's just going to go in stay in the areas in Tennessee and North Carolina. I think there shouldn't be too much snowier on average for the southeast. And then again, it could be going up into New England and Maine. In the pink, we do have winter battle zones. So that's where we can have sleet, ice events, and snow events. Again, you can have all three. We just don't know exactly if it's going to be, like, for example, if you're in the winter battle zone but not in the snowy, it's because you can have maybe some more sleet or ice events than snow. But again, if you're in the pink, you can have winter battle zones, so you can have snowy events, you can have sleet events, you can have all three. And then if you are in the purple, then you can have many Arctic blasts and snow. So again, we have many clippers. So again, if you're in the purple, you can have a lot of blasts. And then if you're, again, all the way to Buffalo in these areas, and Cleveland, you guys can have some lake effect snow that goes in that snow area. And the light bluish or general blue color, we have some cold. Again, it's not going to be, we're not going to have many Arctic blasts, but we can have some Arctic blasts. So that's why it's on the purple. But it goes all the way to Montana through the Amarillo area of Texas. So that's where we can have some cold blasts. In the light green, we have wet conditions. So you can have, maybe if you're not going to get snow, you can just get some chilly rain. In the kind of light yellow color, we have a bit warmer. So again, that's where you saw that orange color for slightly above average. And then we can have a bit warmer or kind of like a flip-flop, so it can be warm and a little bit cold. And again, I think it's from Texas to Oregon, we just have a bit warmer air, a bit warmer conditions. And now for the last color, the orange, that's where we can have dry conditions. So that's where you basically see that below average precipitation. But yeah, guys, that's basically my winter forecast. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.